r/ask Reddit. What really cool thing was killed by modern technology? 4-player, split screen video games. I love playing online, but it just isn't as good as having all your mates over and playing on the same screen. And now with 4K TVs, you'd think it'd be more common. The ability to be completely unreachable for hours and hours each day and not have people lose their shit. I'd jump on my bike on a Saturday and go out with my friends, and my parents would have no way to locate or contact me. Nothing is worse than getting a hello text 30 minutes after the original text. Dude, I can be eating at a restaurant and then heading to the movies. Being unreachable for hours is normal. Those signs at train stations, airports that made the clicky sound. Those that were used before they used screens. Those were beautiful. At some Amtrak stations they actually play the sound so people know the board is changing. I was at one, and hearing that clicky noise immediately took me back to when I was 8 and my mom put me on a train to see my dad, and I would stare at that sign out of fear and listen to it and watch it click. Old school telephones. Slamming the handset down on the heavy cube base when you were mad. I gave my dad a 1950s rotary telephone I found at a flea market for his 59th birthday last year. He made a minor fix to the wire and made it his main landline telephone. He and my mom, who is turning 65 next week, absolutely adore it, and I have to say, I too enjoy the feeling of hanging up on it. There's really good finality to the conversation when you hang up on one of those phones. I have a phone hanging on my kitchen wall. Pick it up and slam it every time it rings. Only telemarketers call that phone. Letter writing to girls you met in summer camp. Please don't tell your parents. I could lose my job. Being able to memorize phone numbers like a Rolodex. Friends showing up randomly at your house to see if you wanna hang out. Got to do this again my first couple years of college with people in the same dorm. Was awesome. Taking pictures of your ass on cameras people left unattended. Always funny when they got the film developed a couple of weeks later. I have a stack of photos in a box in my closet, and one of them is of 2 pairs of mystery tits. I don't recognize them by tits alone, and the ladies didn't include their faces in the picture. It's one of the great unsolved mysteries of my life. Privacy. I have a theory that privacy is a relatively modern phenomenon. Back in the day, everyone in the tribe knew everybody else's business. Getting your photos back after developing. I bought my kids cheap point and shoot film cameras, and they love getting their photos back from the shop. Concerts. Put your ducking phone away and enjoy the damn show. Was at the front of a rock concert, in the sort of mosh pit bit, once, and this woman spent the entire time eyes locked on her camera filming. She even had the audacity to shake her head and scowl at anyone who knocked her slightly and made her film shake! Exclamation point. The night sky. Before cities and towns were lit up 24/7, you could see an Earth-porn quality sky from anywhere. Now you can only see a sky like that if you drive hours away from a city. That's still one advantage in living in the country. You hear and see nothing but nature and stars. Wrapping telephone cord around your fingers palm hands when you call a girl you like. Hi Mr. Dad, is daughter home? And then wrapping it around her ankles and wrists when you got to her house. Sending letters to pen pals in the mail. I still do this. It's really fun getting to know someone through postcards and letters. It takes time and work finding postcards, stationery, and stamps so you know the person cares about you enough to do it. The anticipation of waiting for a letter from your friend is something that most people will never know unless they seek it out. Being unreachable, and that being an accepted part of life. Used to be a time when you could just say I missed your call because I wasn't home, and everybody accepted that as solid fact. Now, people know you are just ignoring their calls or texts. Just turn your phone on silent all the time and train everyone you know to realize this fact. I do it and it's wonderful. I get to engage just as much as I want to. Night tag. I was the youngest of 4 and we grew up in a neighborhood brimming with kids. On weekends we would play street hockey all day, go in to eat dinner, and then come back out and play night tag until dark, maybe 11 PM. There would usually be around 20 of us playing and we could run through or hide in any yard on the street. Even people who had no kids were cool with it and would laugh when they'd see us hiding in the backyard and then hear the shriek when we were caught. Sometimes we'd even jump in pools fully clothed to hide. Everyone knew everyone and it wasn't complicated. At the end of the night we'd all sit sweaty on someone's driveway, laughing and making fun of each other. Sometimes my eldest sister would bring out her guitar. Things felt a lot more human then. I used to do this too. We called it manhunt. Why can't this be done anymore? Radio stars. People being on time. AKA, nobody had the means to send you a last minute text that they'll be late, so they always made a strong effort to show up on time or even early. You didn't know some of my friends. We even had a formula for how late one of our buddies would be late. Every time. We had the same thing. Well, I said 7 o'clock, but that's closer to 8:30 in Danny time. Reading a book. I still buy them, but find scrolling Reddit before bed so much more enticing. I have 2 books sitting on my nightstand that I bought and have been slowly reading. I used to be able to sit down and read a book without putting it down until it was finished. Now I get through a couple chapters and all of a sudden my phone is my hand. I'm mildly disturbed by this. Reading the newspaper and seeing only fully expressed, cogent opinions signed with real names in the letters to the editor. You might not have agreed with those opinions, but at least most editors knew which ones to pick to print, so start a reasonable debate. Also, reading comic strips in those same newspapers. Actually learning about a person rather than cyber stalking them. Or just real stalking them. Back when CDs were popular, the cellophane was very hard to remove. Using a blade means scratching the case. Very few people figured out that the ridged side of those cases were meant to be scraped. So I'd watch somebody struggle for a minute, ask if I could try, and zip. One scrape of that ridged side along a hard surface, and the cellophane was open. I face much more resistance when I try to scrape people's smartphones today, and to less effect. For me, the hardest part wasn't the wrapper, but that slender sticker that went across the top to seal it. Trebuchets. We no longer have the need to launch a 90-kilogram projectile 300 meters. Speak for yourself. I know several neighbors I grew up with who could benefit from a large chunk of rock smashing through their roof and ceiling. Finding out things in video games for yourself. You used to hear rumors about secrets, cheat codes, etc. But now you can look up anything on the internet, so there's no mystery and no surprise. It's the main reason I always try to go in blind when playing games. Manual roll down windows in cars. I used to have the luxury to roll down my window whenever the duck I want. Now the car has to be turned for no good reason. It's madness. Mid-air dogfights. Every fight in the sky now is who fires the missile first and doesn't have enough technical countermeasures. I mean, I'm pretty sure dogfighting is still taught to fighter pilots. Vietnam taught us some lessons on relying too much on missiles. Dropping off the grid. Nah, it's possible. Last year I did it for about a week and a half. Left my phone and other electronics at the house and just took off. Drove around the southern eastern US, finding my way around with a paper map. It was good times. Theoretically you could do the same thing, but get some land out in the middle of nowhere and build a cabin or something. Stay, you know, forever. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.